Hey guys, Tim here. I'm pretty excited to show you guys this offering from Warbonnet, which is awesome. Warbonnet did send this to me. This is their 30D Bushwack camo Minifly. It's one of their new tarp offerings. Now let's go ahead and set it up and see what it looks like. Pretty excited about this one. So this sets up just like any other tarp. For ease of setup, I always go one of my favorite pieces of gear, the Dutchware stingers, and you just clip one end onto each side of the tarp and it works perfectly, just like this. And first of all, let me just say, this Bushwack camo is just beautiful. It blends in really, really well. All right. So you see exactly how easy the stingers really makes that setup. And so I'm going to be using these shepherd hook stakes, and the guy lines that are on the 4 tie-out points that you'll see me put down are 6 feet long, and I think that's just about right, just enough for my needs and purposes. Okay, so you might be saying to yourself at this point, and rightfully so, okay Tim, Warbonnet has this fancy standard hex tarp that just pretty much has a different pattern on it, right? And you'd be wrong. That's where the Minifly is really different and really innovative. And the difference is right up there, just flapping in the breeze. So what we have is we have a standard hex tarp, and they added these mini doors to both ends. And those of you guys who hammock camp know that sometimes you don't always get that optimal positioning for your tarp, or wherever trees are located, that's where you have to be. And so if you remember on my most recent Michigan trip, what happened is I was kind of positioned wrong way, and the wind was whipping rain straight into my tarp. What I had to do is I had to hang this jacket and act as doors. For this one already comes attached. And so let's see how this one works. Pretty simple. So here's where you have a couple options. And so they have these 2 kind of D-hooks right here, and Warbonnet does send you these aluminum mini carabiners with it. I just attached a guy line that's about 8 feet long. So what I do is I would clip it onto both of those D-rings, and you have a couple options. You can either wrap it around the tree to do, and that, that pulls out the beak quite a little bit right there. What I would like to do to get maximum coverage is to actually pull it down. I did both options. I did the tie to the tree option, which I prefer. Going down is okay as well. But as you see, and as you guys know, if you put 10 stakes into the ground at that angle, it tends to pull up because you have a lot more upward pressure. And so if you want to go directly to the ground, I would suggest going off to the side of the tree, like I did a little bit there. But I think the best way, honestly, is to just lash it to the tree. Now, some things to consider if you decide whichever orientation is. So you see some really impressive coverage here. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I look at pictures online, it makes it look like it's not that much coverage. 16 inches by my rough measurement. And that's pretty impressive. That's more than enough to cover up a hammock. Some specs of the Minifly is that you have an 11-foot ridge line, and in terms of maximum width, it's a standard hex shape, so it does have that cat cut, but you're talking about 92 inches wide in general. And like I mentioned before, that beak, from what I measured, is about 16 inches of coverage at the ends, which is pretty substantial when you're talking about getting wet or rain lashing in from the sides. And the coverage is higher up on the hammock, so that's really great as well. So what about when you don't want that beak anymore? When you don't need that end coverage, weather looks great, you just go ahead and clip it back. And here's how you do that. And it just folds back on itself, because the shape of the tarp and the original hex design just allows it to go back like this. And that's that. Now that is one reason why I went ahead and I clipped the bowline that I did to the beaner and not to the D-ring. Just so if I wanted to, if I got annoyed by this guy line, I could just take it off. Just clips back on itself. So how's the hammock look under there? Pretty darn good, I'd say. You have more than enough coverage at the ends here for your hammock, and let me peek in there. whoopee sling or strap will go right in there. Your drip line, oh, let me focus. Your drip line will be nice and dry, and so you also have coverage. Let me go to the other side. You also have enough coverage here for your double-ended stuff sack not to get completely soaked in the rain. So that's great. I think these are a great idea. And I did the guy lines on the beak, the split beak above, at 8 feet long. I think I probably would want to make those 12 feet long, because if you're going to wrap around some larger trees, that might be a good idea. And this thing comes in a ton of options. So you're talking about Bushwack camo in the 30D. Silpoly is not the only option. You have 20D in different colors. You have the evergreen color. You also have that olive brown or olive green color that my Mama Jama is. And so check them out. It's pretty great. I'm a big fan of this tarp. I love my Mama Jama, but I have found that having the extra coverage at the end, as you saw on the Michigan trip, is really, really handy to have. I'm sure you're wondering exactly how much this thing weighs, and of course, the different weights depending on the fabric that you decide to order. The Silnylon, for example, in 30D is 13.1 ounces for the tarp alone, but I thought it'd be more useful to get an idea of what this 30D Silpoly with all the hardware and all the different guy lines on it weighs. And so for me, this particular one that you're seeing weighs 14.6 ounces or 412 grams. There we go, 412 grams. So overall, really positive first impression. I really am impressed by this. I definitely have to do a lot more testing, of course, take it out on some trips, see how the doors actually work when we're out in pouring down sideways rain. But I'm pretty positive these will do the coverage. I mean, if my rain jacket was able to do the job, I believe these doors are a really nice addition. If you get up nice, high and tight in here, it's really phenomenal. I think this is a home run from Warbonnet. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace. All right, guys, those of you who stuck around till the end, there's a special surprise for you. There's a special code that Warbonnet has allowed me to give for you guys for 1 week only. So after this video is done, I'll put the date that it ends right here. You can get a special percentage off if you put the code in the description in the Warbonnet website.